All right, now that we've isolated the guard assembly, I want to show you how we can create an exploded view with an explode trail. So to begin, let's just rotate this out a little bit, and we want to take this visor assembly and explode that all as one group. If you can imagine, we probably buy that visor, or that visor is really just treated as a sub-assembly rather than the individual parts. So we want to be able to explode that all as one unit. From the assembly tree, I can dive into the guard assembly and find that shield assembly. Now notice that I'm in part select mode here. I'll then use my translate handles just to move that around and position that in space about where I want that to be. And that looks like the proper position. So the next thing that we would probably want to do with that shield assembly still selected is to put the explode trails on. The explode trails are found on the Author tab. If I go under Author and then under Path, you'll see Create Associative Path from Neutral. An associative path from neutral will update when if I happen to move that visor to a new position. So most folks would probably go through this type of a workflow. We move the components into the position we want. With them still selected, we choose this Create Associative Path from Neutral. Now watch what happens when I do that. Okay, that's really not the result we were looking for, is it? There's a couple things wrong with this. First of all, I've got a whole bunch of paths when really I just wanted one path. And also, you'll see that they're basically just a straight line path. And I would probably prefer more of an orthogonal type of a path. So let's undo that. Well, to tackle the first issue, the reason that those came in as multiple lines is because we had the parts selected all individually. So really the better way to do this is to have moved the visor as an assembly rather than the individual parts. So let's grab that shield assembly and let's take advantage of one of those commands we learned a little bit ago, the Restore Neutral Position command. So with them all selected, I'll just hit Restore Neutral Position, and now everything's back at home where it belongs. The proper way to do this is to select the shield assembly in assembly select mode. And we can do this either by depressing the assembly selection button, or if you hold down the Alt key and then select shield assembly, it now selects all as one unit and it turns blue. And that's how you know you did it correctly. So now that we've got the visor as an assembly moved into the correct position, now I can go to my Author tab and choose Create Associative Path from Neutral. And now I just get the one explode line for the assembly. So problem number one solved. But for the second issue, how do I get that to show as an orthogonal path? Well, that's easy. Now just select on that path. Over in the Properties field, you'll see a construct mode. It's currently set to real path, which means just the straight line shortest distance to get from point A to point B. If you drop this down, we want to set that based on world axis. And now all of a sudden, it's doing an orthogonal type of path. And you get a couple of choices on this. You'll see from the axes order, I can drop this down and try out a couple of different alternative arrangements of how to make that path transition. Now, if none of those satisfy you, you can always go back to just creating your own path manually. But chances are you're going to find a solution that's acceptable here. So that's a way that you can create those exploded views, remembering to select assembly versus part select, and creating those associative paths based on an orthogonal combination of axes. So hopefully that'll be helpful to you.